All right. I have a ton of feed bags that I have to turn into tote bags, so that's what I'm doing today. I'm going to be turning some feed bags into really cute tote bags. And if you're just getting into sewing like me, this is a great beginner project. So let's get started.
First, I washed my feed bags with a little bit of Dawn dish soap.
So now that I've cleaned my bag, it's time to do all the cutting. So I'm gonna start by just cutting off this little trim that you see here that is marked by all these like little dots. I'm just gonna cut off that part. I'm gonna cut off the very bottom part that has all of this weirdness on it too. Also, please don't use your nice fabric scissors for this. This is not a project for nice scissors. This is a project for your like workhorse scissors, you know? So now that I have all my like doodads taken care of and I have like a really nice clean slate, this is the part where I have to be a little bit strategic about where I'm cutting and how big I want to make the bag. So with this bag, it's really great because I have a lot of space up top to take from and a lot of space on the bottom to take from. Obviously, I really want the, alpacas to be front and center. And I also really like the lettering of alpaca and llama feet as well. With that being said, I think I'm going to take probably 6 inches off the top, and that will be for my straps. And I probably will take a good chunk of the bottom too, just because I like having really nice square bags. I don't really like having super long rectangular bags. I feel like they're less functional. I do want to leave a little bit of space at the bottom so that way I can make the bottom flat, and I'll show you how to do that towards the end of the video. That's the finishing touch.
For the straps, I start off by measuring 3 inches and marking that off with a Sharpie. I'll then mark an additional 3-inch section and cut both sections. So in total, I'm taking 6 inches off of the top of the bag. And if I see any leftover Sharpie marks, I'll just use a magic eraser and wash that off. And then when you cut the material out of the bag, you'll have 2 big circles. So just make sure to give them a little snip so we'll have 2 long pieces of fabric to make the straps with. For the bottom of the bag, I'm taking off a decent amount just so I can get the shape that I want. I'm also making sure to leave a little extra space at the bottom so I'll have some room to make the bottom flat later. Every feed bag is different, so depending on the design of the bag, that will dictate where and how much you'll cut off of the bag.
Okay, so time to fold over the strap. I honestly didn't cut the straps as straight as I could have. I'm gonna make up with that by folding them. Something really important that you'll need is some sort of straight edge, or basically doing origami at this point. You'll need some sort of fabric clip, or you can use like a binder clip or a paper clip, or whatever clippy things you got will do. Basically what I'm going to be doing, folding over one side, and that's about an inch. And then I'm gonna fold over the other side on top of that, like so. And all together, the strap is about 1 inch wide. You don't want super wide straps. That's just gonna fall off of your shoulder.
So I'm just going to keep working down the strap, folding, smoothing, and clipping everything together.
I typically cut 5 or 6 inches off of each strap as well. Okay, great, my straps are done. They're about 33 inches, and honestly, I might even take off more depending on how it looks with the bag. But before I get out my sewing machine, I'm just gonna prep our bag too, so that way all we have to do is sew. So I turned the body of the bag inside out, and I'm gonna fold down this top piece. One moment, this is kind of difficult. So I folded the top piece. I'm gonna just make sure everything looks as even as possible, and then I'm gonna fold it again. Adjust everything, make sure I like the placement of everything. Cool, and then I'm just gonna make this nice and crisp again. I'm just gonna make sure that the front of the bag is exactly where I want it to be placed before I place where I want my straps to go. Then I'm gonna put it right at the side of my bag, take my Sharpie, and just put a little mark right here, and that's where I'm gonna put my straps. Do the same thing on the other side, put my ruler down right here, little mark. That's exactly where I'm going to be putting my straps. Same thing on the other side. Okay, now that we have all of our pieces ready, it's time to sew. So before we can dive in and really get our sew on, there is a couple of things that we have to make sure that we have in place. You want a really, really tough needle. The needle that I have in my sewing machine is made for jeans, so you need a really strong needle or your needle is going to break. And I know that from experience. I've broken many a needle doing this, so you want to make sure you have a super strong needle. You want to make sure that you have a really strong thread. The way that I test and see that thread is strong is I just try my hardest to break it, and if it doesn't break, then I deem that it is strong. Very scientific, very good. The settings of your sewing machine. You want to make sure the length of your stitch is as long as possible because we don't want a bunch of teeny tiny stitches. That's going to make the material that we're using rip. So we don't want that. We want nice, long stitches, and then things aren't going to rip. And now that we have that settled, let's get to sewing. So good, vanilla chai. It's a spot every time.
I'm just sewing my straps by making a straight stitch right down the middle, and I just want to make sure that all of my folds get sewn together.
Both straps are done and sewed together. Great. And now it's time to sew the body. Okay, time to sew the bag. And I'm going to start by sewing the bottom half of this folded section. And this is also where I'm going to insert my
straps.
Just like this. Make sure it's all the way down, touching the folded part. And I'm just going to really slowly sew over it because it's like a lot of material that's happening here. Great. That went well. And just very slowly go over it. Great, one strap added. Okay, so I've successfully sewed in the straps and now we have to make them go the right way. Okay, now that I'm at my first strap, I'm going to fold it over. And just be nice and slow because there's a lot of material that you're going through. I'm going to do the same thing to the other strap. And then I like to go back and just reinforce the straps so they're super, super strong. And I just do that by making 2 extra lines and like going back and forth.
Okay, we are in the home stretch. I'm now just sewing the bottom of the bag with a straight stitch. Super, super simple.
Okay, here's the part where we're going to have to finagle a little bit. If you want to make the bottom of your bag flat, right now it's just kind of pointy at the bottom. What you want to do is stick your hand in the bag and kind of pretend it's like a sock puppet, and you want to like clamp your hand down in the bag, and you can see it kind of forms this like triangle. And this is a part where you really want to finagle is the best word. You really want to play around with how big this triangle shape is. Just see where everything wants to sit. So I think that that actually looks really good. I'm just gonna try and make the sides as even as possible. Now what I'm going to do is take my Sharpie and along the top of that triangle, I'm gonna make some dotted lines. So it should look like this on the bottom. So I'm gonna measure this and do the same exact thing on the other side to make sure that both of my triangles are even. And then when I go to sew this, I'm gonna just try and make this as flat as possible and just sew across the dotted line. I have those little triangles situated. Gonna turn the bag inside out. Also, look at how much molasses is on my hand. I'm definitely going to have to wash this out. And I'm gonna keep finagling with this until I like how it looks. Look at how cute. Look at you. They're like, what is this crazy woman doing? But yeah, I really like making these. They're so beginner friendly and you can really customize all the measurements to whatever bag you're using. If you want to make it bigger, you can make it bigger. If you want to make it smaller, you can make it smaller. But it's just a very easy technique for a beginner sewer like me. I'm still very much a beginner at sewing, but these are something that I really like to make. And if you don't have a farm, you don't have feed bags readily available, I'm sure that there's a farm near you who would love to donate feed bags to a local hobbyist crafter woman in the woods. This is the end of the video. Like and subscribe for more fun crafts, more farm stuff. We got a lot of stuff going on over here. Right, boys? Right.